Well, hello and welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims, Grizzly Bear Farms YouTube channel. I appreciate you coming back for more Farm Sim 17 action here. We've got a pretty big operation going on today, this game day 6. This is the second video or second episode for this game day. We are in late summer and we're getting some things done. Now, you might remember a few episodes ago I talked about the fact that we tried to make sure that we were able to provide to Mary, who is a good friend of ours and is obviously a farming partner, and she's also a buyer of our grains and such from time to time. And we tried to get her enough corn to be able to fulfill her needs for the winter. And we just were unable to deliver based on the crops that we had actually planted. And so it was kind of unfortunate, but we managed to work out a deal with another landowner, Mr. Smith, who lives just up the road from us, owns this field 5 here, and had a corn crop that was ready to go in late summer. And so we have our full crew up here. We've got Billy Bob, who is running the case combine, and we've got Jim Bob, who is running the rented New Holland, the yellow one, and then we have Stan driving our semi tipper. And so we didn't catch the New Holland quick enough before he turned, and hopefully we can, by setting up our course the way that we have, I'm hopeful that we can kind of catch these guys and keep their services and everything empty, keep their grains empty, as we also are able to keep Stan busy driving back and forth between field 5 and our farm. So here's how we're going to do things. I'm going to shut up and stop talking here in just a few minutes, and we'll basically sort of probably fast track this process, because it could take, even with 2 combines, it could take some time to get this field done. It's one of the largest fields on the map, if not the largest. Let's just take a peek there. Yeah, I believe it is the largest. It's slightly bigger than field number 20, 31.5. So yeah, it is a supersized map, or supersized field. And of course, we own it because that's the only way that we can harvest off of it. But for our storyline, this field belongs to someone else, and we're working out a deal for them to be able to get this grain for Mary. And so yeah. So of course we could automate all this if we wanted to, but I think, and although I haven't tested yet, but I would not imagine that Courseplay has been modified to the point to where that it doesn't run through the crops if it needs to. So obviously since we're running crop destruction, we don't want to have Courseplay just driving anywhere and everywhere. Hopefully that's going to be something that they can address at a later date. That was another one of the advantages to Auto Combine, was the fact that you could set Auto Combine up to drive the combine basically in a circle around the field, and depending on which direction you went, you could make sure and ensure that your pipe was always on the outside, and that of course helped to minimize the damage that that Courseplay can sometimes cause to the crops. We're not going to turn crop damage off, at least not right now, just for the sake of Courseplay. But yeah, we'll see. And could have certainly benefited from the larger header, the corn header on the case, and I need to get my camera angle set correctly where I can better see. The corn excuse me, the corn header on the case is about 3 meters wider than that's offered for the New Holland. But I also didn't want to get confused whenever it came time to sending these back. I didn't want to send back the wrong combine. So we did lease it. The lease cost is obviously a cost that um, we're going to basically assume, and Mary is going to basically pay us based on a prearranged price per ton for this corn. And so again, Billy Bob and Jim Bob are running the combines. I'm running the auger wagon, and Stan is running the semi. And what Stan is going to do is Stan is going to transport from the field to our grain silos, and then later today we will set up a course play route to get the corn from our grain silos down to Mary's farm. I figured that it would be easier since basically our farm is approximately halfway in between this field and Mary's farm. We'll just dump it in our silo, and then that way the distance between field 5 is shortened, and we can operate with just one semi and tipper trailer. All right, so as I finish my cup of coffee off, I'm going to be quiet, and I will sort of bounce back between the combines, maybe the semi, and we'll fast track this just a bit. I think I will fast track it. It just kind of depends on how long I think it's going to take, and probably give you some music to listen to um, in the course of all of this, and try to basically keep up with these two guys. I think it's doable. If I can catch the combines on the correct side and everything, I think it is. I think it's doable, and give you something to watch here. Let's see, where's his pipe? No, his pipe's on the other side, so we'll have to wait till he comes back. But anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'll speak to you when we get back, or when this field is done. Take care now. All right, well, I hope that was interesting to you guys and gals out there. It took about 35 minutes to, well, it's not done. We still have one more pass with the New Holland over there. It'll be a short row, but yeah, inside of 40 minutes in real time to do the harvest of field 5 with 2 combines, an auger wagon, and a semi truck. So hopefully you enjoyed all of that, and yeah, it was cool to be able to do that. And of course, Mary's going to be very appreciative once we are able to deliver the corn to her. So we will just move this combine down here and get it ready to form a follow me group back to the farm momentarily. And we will jump back in our Fendt here. Here's a question for my viewers. There seems to be something that is different between Farming Sim 17 and Farming Sim 15 with regards to the vehicles shutting themselves off when you get when you're further than a certain distance away from them. In Farming Sim 15, especially if you had, obviously we're talking about manual ignition being turned on, when you would get out of a vehicle, regardless of what other vehicle you went to, regardless of where you were on the map, the vehicle stayed running. In Farming Sim 17, it seems that when you jump out of a vehicle, and if you get a certain distance away from that vehicle shuts off. Is there a setting to turn that feature off or adjust it or what have you? Does anybody know? It's somewhat of a, I guess it's somewhat of a cool feature. I suppose it helps control costs if you forget that you've parked a vehicle somewhere and left the engine running, that essentially it will shut it off for you. But in the examples of what we've just sort of noticed just a few moments ago, where I left the Fendt running here in the middle of the field, I went down and I grabbed the case combine, and I must have reached that magical distance further away from the Fendt, and it shut the engine off. And then you come back to it and you've got to fire the engine back up. Not a big deal if it's not something that can be tweaked. I just haven't found a setting in 17, and I'm guessing maybe it's drive control that's doing it. Not sure. So if anybody knows, Mike, Shawnee B, Bipolar Prophet, anyone else that's watching. All right, well, we're going to be all right, that is 40 minutes on the video recorder, and that's about how long it took, I guess, about 40 minutes to harvest field 5 with 2 combines. So I would probably say you easily, obviously you easily double that figure if you're doing it with 1 combine. And of course I was using the largest combine, the largest header on the case, and the largest header available for the New Holland. And again, the only reason why I got the rented the New Holland combine was just so that I would know which one I had rented versus which one I own, and I didn't return the wrong one or something. So we are going to go ahead, because he's at 91%. we're going to have him stop at the last point or the next trigger, which will have him stop at the grain silo, because he doesn't need to come back here. And we will get back in our fent and put our pipe in and form a convoy back to the main farm. Okay, that's good. I was hoping he wouldn't run into the back there. And let's see. We will go ahead and pipe in and fold him up. Get him in line, and we'll just get these all moved back to the farm. Let's see how that works. Don't run into the back of, well, come on. All right, let's make sure they're all following nicely. And they are. All right. Follow Me is definitely a must-have mod. It's right up there at the top of the list. I think we'll all agree that of the mods that are available right now for FarmSim 17, Courseplay is obviously the one that is probably at the top of everyone's list, just because whether you automate your entire farming enterprise 100% and you're just bouncing around controlling the robots, or whether you do things like I do, which is simulate certain functions on the farm. I need someone to drive a truck or a tractor and a tipper or something like that, and want to have that functionality. I think that you'll agree that Courseplay is obviously the top of the list. Drive control is obviously a very good mod to have. But yeah, Follow Me is, yeah, he is just riding right up that guy's tailpipe, and we will go ahead and back him up and get him out of the way here. Let's see, can we return him from the garage? I can't remember. I think we can. So it's not that one. Almost sold my forage harvester. That wouldn't be good. Let's see. Where is the case combine? Is it not in the list because I don't technically own it? I'm leasing it. I'm guessing so. So let's see, can I return it through my workshop? Let's see if I can do this. Yep, I can. Return. Okay. And you got to back out of the trigger, and you got to come back to the trigger, and then we will return that, and those are done. So we'll bounce over to our fent here and take him off Follow Me. And we will just turn him off and leave him sat there, and do the same here. Leave him there. And let's bounce over to our semi and get him, stop the driver. We don't need the Courseplay route anymore, and we will move him into position. And we will tip. So I realized I obviously about in the middle of that the process of harvesting that field, I sent the tipper trailer, the semi and the tipper trailer back to the grain silo when he was maybe about 75% full. I just wanted to do that for the sake of the video, to have something sort of in the middle to cut away to. So it wasn't that I was not aware that it would move on his own. It's just I was wanting him to go ahead and do that then. So let's go ahead and we'll move him out of the way. And we keep our semi over here. We'll cover it. Good deal, good deal. All right, let's just take a look for grins and giggles at see how much we got out of there. I don't recall what we had in storage, but the deal that we worked out with Mary is where is corn right there, 141,000 liters. So we basically committed to giving her 100,000 liters, and so we will make sure that we get that to her at some point later today, probably in a different video. All right, so let me just bounce back over and maybe we will get in the Fendt and actually let's disconnect. Oops, wrong gear. I'm not used to shuttle control just yet. I will get used to it. I know I will. But you know, I find myself mashing on the brake pedal to go backwards, because for probably 2 years, well, with the exception of a few weeks, I did try shuttle control. Initially when Drive Control first came out, or when I first installed it for Farming Sim 15, but I just couldn't get used to it. I couldn't figure out how to get it to work, because what I wanted to do the shifter handle to toggle the direction, and I don't know if it was just I never could figure it out in 15, or if it couldn't be done in 15, but in any event, in 17, I'm able to do that, and it's actually very cool. Okay, I turned traffic off, I remember that, but I'm still going to attempt to try to observe the rules of the road. So we're going to go down here and we're going to bail because my timer on my OBS says I've been recording for about 50 minutes at this point. Probably most of that work to harvest that cornfield is going to be accelerated just a little bit with some music. So I don't really know at this particular point in time, until I go into post-production, just how long the video is going to be, but it will be definitely still shorter than an hour, because I don't think it's going to take a whole lot of time to do this this field. So we're going to unfold our baler, get out here, and what we'll do is we'll drive down here and work our way towards the bridge, and we'll turn the baler on and get ready to lower the pickup and start baling. And we're off. Baling is right up there with mowing for me. It's just it's a peaceful, calm, low stress. Not that anything in Farm Sim 17 is stressful. That's not what I mean, but it's just a relaxing thing to do. And by the way, I found a bell counter for 17. I didn't download it because it was, well, I think it was on uploaded.net, and I spent a fair bit of time expressing my soapbox opinions on uploaded.net in the previous video, the video that I believe that we harvested this field. And but it had some issues according to some of the comments, and so I just sort of passed it by. So hopefully somebody will, or the original mod author, that's the best option, will go ahead and convert the bell counter mod from 15 to 17, because again, that comes in handy, because as you're baling, you don't have to, not that it really matters how many bells you get off of a field, but you kind of then know, okay, well, to be able to collect all these up, I know my auto stacker will haul 16 bells at a time, and so if there's 32 bells as an example, you know you've got to make 2 trips. You know, I suppose it could provide enough information to decide, well, maybe I will use a different trailer. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these bells yet. I may go ahead and store them, because I'm not 100% sure just how many bells we're going to need to get through the season. I want to think that I have enough. I want to think that, not with exception to the bells that we're currently producing right now, we've still got about 100 bells up at the cattle facility, the dairy farm, and I want to think that that will be enough. That will be enough to essentially get us to back around to late spring or early summer, when, especially if we plant a winter wheat crop or a winter barley crop, would be enough, and we would, you know, essentially be able to resume the process of baling again, either in late spring or early summer. But I just don't know. You know, I just don't know what I don't know. And our grass field, the really big grass field that we had planted corn in, and I flipped that over with grass, that is not yet ready to mow, so it will probably be ready on the next game day 7, which will be early autumn. Now there's 2 game days. Remember, I am running the seasons mod, which all the seasons mod does is it just reflects the season in the upper right HUD. It does not do anything to the game. It doesn't make the game behave any differently with regards to when crops grow, when they don't grow, etc. I am using the Growth Manager mod, and by the way, all of my mods are in my mod spreadsheet, and you can find my mod spreadsheet by going to grizzlybearsims.com, and that link is down in the show description always on my videos. And you can go to grizzlybearsims.com and you can look at my mod and add-on spreadsheet. But the seasons, or the Growth Manager, is set to basically, I believe, 4 growth cycles. So it basically takes 4 game days for a crop to go through all of its stages and become ready to harvest. So if we plant something, for example, on game day, which would be the equivalent of game day 1, early spring, in theory that should be ready to harvest on game day 4, I believe. Yeah, I think. Anyway, that's how it's been working anyway. So, but the seasons mod just, again, displays the seasons. Now, as you know, I've been watching the weather. I talked about it a little bit in the previous episode, and hopefully we can get this this straw. Um, I'm not the only one that does that. I was listening, and I'm not going to say his name, but I was watching a few videos, and someone else keeps interchanging hay, straw, and anyway, so hopefully we can get this straw baled and maybe even go so far as to get it picked up, not in this video of course, but before it starts raining or snowing or whatever that icon represents. And I think, even though I believe I said in the end of the previous video, which would have been, I don't know, episode 17 or 18, I've kind of lost track, but anyway, the previous video that we actually harvested this field that we're now baling, I believe I said that I thought that game day 6, late summer, would be at least 3 to 4 episodes. It kind of depends on what the rain does, and how, if it actually rains or snows or whatever that icon is representing. It sort of depends on how long that's going to last and what we can really accomplish, because obviously with this being late summer, a lot of our crops are not ready to harvest yet, or at least we're not ready to harvest them. So we're sort of doing things manually, because the game doesn't take into consideration seasons really at all. Again, it's sort of in your own style, your own gameplay, your own imagination. So, I've talked about the fact that I have plant weathering turned off, because there's a lot of fields that I planted back in early spring that, for the sake of the storyline, aren't going to come ready for harvest until autumn or fall, but yet they could be harvested today if we wanted to. But we don't want to do that, because we want to have things to do in the autumn and fall, your typical harvest period. So, everything that we've harvested to date, we've done some wheat, we've done some canola, we've done some barley. Those were planted, for our storyline. Those were planted late last, just before winter time, and again, I'm sort of playing this approach, this seasonal approach, not necessarily with it based on any sort of geographic region. I've sort of said from time to time that I felt like that this was Colorado. Being this close to the mountains, I don't think that you would be planting. I don't think you would be planting anything in late autumn and expecting it to really do anything, because when winter comes in, it comes in. But obviously, like for example, on the eastern plains of Colorado, they do some late crop planting, obviously, in Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas, and I've just sort of looked at a sort of a wide example of when things are typically planted, when things are typically harvested, and just sort of picked and choose the things that I wanted to do. It's not set on a geographic region, because that would be a completely different level of complexity. And of course, we're yet to fully know how cattle and crops is supposed to very nicely take into consideration seasons. But of course, we don't know how that works, and we may not know how that works for some time. Even those of us that, and by the way, this is a good opportunity for me to remind you that our contest over at PCSG, you'll find the link down in the show description. PCSG is certainly going on. It's running from 1st of December through the 31st of December, and all you need to do is go and register for an account at PCSG, and then just write a comment in the thread that we have set up for cattle and crops. Just explain what you're sort of looking forward to with cattle and crops, or what you think about cattle and crops. Just do that once, and you'll be entered in the drawing for one of 3 copies of Cattle and Crops that we plan to give away just after the new year. Of course, they won't be available for you until later in the spring, but we're really not sure. Or I'm not sure. Let me just put it that way. Maybe somebody is knowledgeable on this, but the early preview that we're all sort of excited to see is obviously going to be very much different from what we actually see when the game officially releases later in the fall of next year, of 2017. We don't have exact dates, or at least I don't know of an exact date at this particular point in time. But I don't know if we'll have access to seasonal functionality in the spring, in other words, when it comes out for early preview, or if that will be something that we will have to wait on to see. But in any event, it is something that's, I think, worth the wait, because finally we've got a farm sim game that takes into consideration seasons, because what a novel idea, right? This will definitely, regardless of what I choose to do with this straw, there I go again, almost said hay. I think what I should do is set up a tip jar on my desk that every time I mix up the words hay and straw, I put $1 or something in it and save up to buy new DLC for something or another. But anyway, regardless of what I choose to do with this straw, I don't believe I will need to bale the straw from any of the other barley fields or wheat fields, and I'm not sure how much of. I think I've got one more field planted in barley that I planted in the spring that will be available to harvest in fall, and I don't know about wheat. I think all the wheat is actually up. I think the wheat was all planted late. So I think we've already got the wheat in. And of course, part of this seasonal approach that I've been wanting to, showcase and adopt for my own gameplay has sort of been a learn it as you go, because I wasn't sure if I had, everything set with Growth Manager correctly. We sort of started off on. Well, we started doing this on North Brabant and ran into problems with that map, and then we switched over to the English style map, I think is what it was called, and obviously ran into problems there. So we threw our hands up in the air and decided that we would just combine, because I was doing a series on Goldcrest, the default map, and we had that accident with the dynamite, and Billy Bob and Jim Bob and Stan were out trying to blow up some rocks to expand one of the fields, and ended up taking out the whole farm. And so as a result, we had to hire in Stevie, a agricultural architect, if you will, who came in and redesigned our central farm area and found us a way to bring in our cattle, which was spread out way down in the other part of town. And so we just decided that we would just do that one series, and we would do all this with Goldcrest Valley, and it's worked out quite well. I mean, I've not found any problems, and I am running an older version, obviously, of Goldcrest Valley, Stevie's Edit, because he released. I was running the latest and greatest when I started this series, and obviously he's made some changes to it a couple of times along the way, and well, I did not want to have to start all over. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this out of, if I can find the right key. And we will head back to the farm. Now, okay, you might remember in yesterday's video, or the previous video to this, I had an issue with the F1 key. I've got it again, but it did not occur. I think it, let me think. I came up with this last night when I was having a hard time going to sleep. Maybe follow me is, because it only started occurring after I started, after I use follow me. So I need to check to see if maybe there's an updated version of the follow me mod. And I will see if that fixes it, but it wasn't broken in the whole exercise of harvesting field number 5, the cornfield, and I did follow me to bring the vehicles back from that field, and then that's when it broke again. So I will check that and see. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that this pretty much will wrap up this episode. Again, I'm not sure how many episodes we're going to do off this game day. I think that for the sake of, because we've done 2 episodes in a row where we have done some form of harvesting, I think that obviously there will be at least one more episode to this game day. Again, it kind of depends on this rain. And let me just look at the clouds, and I don't see any. There might be some clouds over there that might roll in past the mountains, but anyway, we will do maybe some odds and ends. Need to tend to the animals, probably need to go and buy some pig feed, just a little bit, because we still don't have any root crops yet. So we need to buy some pig feed and maybe do a few other things on the farm, just kind of see what happens with the weather. If the weather does come in, and if it rains or snows or whatever that icon is, and takes out, the majority of the game day, that's not a problem, because we've got everything that we wanted to harvest. We have that in, so that's all good. And I will just go ahead and stop babbling, because I know I do that a lot, and I'm sorry, but I will end the episode here, and just wanted to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for your comments. I do try to respond to each and every one of them, especially if there are questions. And thank you for your subscriptions. I appreciate that. I am excited about how much the channel has grown. And so yeah, so look forward to more farm sim videos, and maybe an occasional flight sim, something or another coming out pretty soon. I might just do kind of a quick and dirty preview of X-Plane 11, just for anyone that might be interested in seeing that. Again, I'm not planning to dominate the channel with necessarily anything other than farm sim, but I may interchange a few things in, and flight sim would obviously be something that I do enjoy playing. It's a passion of mine. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will speak to you all very, very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.